Hello, my friends. Welcome back. This is Jessica. This is my channel, I Read to Relax, and I am happy to have you here. Today, I plan to do my March reading wrap up. It is time to reflect back on last month's reading. In general, March was not a great reading month. I had a lot of stuff going on in my real life. I started my new job. So I was finishing out wrapping up the old one, getting stuff organized. I was doing job interviews, and then I actually started my new job. So, the concentration to, read like I normally do just was not there. I did a lot of binge watching TV, but that's okay. So, I'm going to show a graphic or a bunch of the covers of what was actually on my TBR for March over here. It was like 10 books. I always kind of have around that number. I actually ended up finishing 6 in the month of March, but 2 were carryovers from February. So we really only finished 4 full books in the month of March, but that's a-okay. Life happens, and this is what we managed to do. And hopefully, April will just be a more robust reading month. And I'll let you guys know at the end of this month. So, let me share what I actually did read. I read 2 ebooks, 3 print books, and then I had 1 immersive read where I was sort of jumping back and forth between the audio and the print book. The first book that I finished in the month of March, as I mentioned, was a carryover from February. I was still reading it when the month ended, and that is Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. This is the first book in a YA mermaid fantasy. And it was okay. I gave it in the end 3 or 3.5 stars. I really liked the concept. I really loved sort of the African inspired god's mythology. It's woven throughout the tale. I really enjoyed sort of the path that they had to travel on as the story progressed. But it was just one that I'm not a big mermaid, pirate, sea-based fantasy person. They never hit as hard for me. And this one, I think, being YA, I'm starting to get a little older. I'm connecting a little less to sort of the YA age group as a whole. And this one just didn't really, it didn't grab me. I definitely would read a chunk and then I'd put it down and then I'd come back and I'd read another chunk. But I do have to say that I think that this book cover is spectacular. It is one of my favorite book covers ever. I just think it's beautiful, and I'm glad I finally read this one. I've owned this ebook for a very long time, and I just sort of never got around to it. But I don't think I'll be continuing the series, so yeah. The next book that I finished was The Reluctant Queen by Sarah Beth Durst, and this is book 2 in the Queens of Renthia series. This is a spectacular series. Both books 1 and 2 have absolutely blown me away. I can't wait to read the third and finish the trilogy. So I don't want to spoil too much from the first book, but the first book centers on a character who is participating in a trial. They're going to find the next heir to take the throne in Renthia, their kingdom. And this is a land that's full of elemental spirits, and they are not friendly. So if people aren't careful, like the wind spirits, the earth spirits, they'll attack them and kill them sometimes. And the regent, the queen, is the one who keeps them in check. And so, like I said, the main character in the first book is competing to become heir to the throne. And in this second book, we shift perspectives to a new character who, for reasons I don't want to spoil, is now also on a journey to help protect the entire kingdom from these same elemental spirits. And it's just such a richly interesting and vivid, dangerous world. And I found all the characters to be really interesting, and I like the plot. So like I said, I can't wait to read book 3. I can't recommend this series enough. I think they're stellar. So that was a full 5 stars. That was a little more than 5 stars for me. That was fantastic. Right after that one, because I wanted to throw something short in, I decided to read Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shannon McGuire. This one is book 7, I think. Yeah, book 7 in the Wayward Children novella series. These are portal fantasy books about kids who have gone through a doorway to another world. Think like Alice in Wonderland, the kids in the Chronicles of Narnia, Peter Pan's, Wendy going to Neverland. And then they come back and have to cope with living in our world after they've had this experience. And the first 6 books all take place at this home for wayward children, where it's sort of like a halfway house to let them acclimate and be with one another because they've had this similar-ish shared experience. They know the yearning that the others are going through to sort of re-find their door or whatever, because they don't fit in where they are now. But in this book, the main character decides she wants to transfer to another school for kids who have had the same experience, and finds that this school is a vastly different experience from the home that she had been in. And I really loved this one. I thought it expanded the world and made it feel really, every book has felt different in this series, but this one feels really different because, again, it gives a broader view of sort of what's happening in the world. So another 5-star read. I had a bunch of 5-star reads this month, even though it was a very limited amount of books. Some of them were really great. For example, I finally started the Mistborn books by Brandon Sanderson. So The Final Empire is book 1 in Mistborn Saga 1. So there are 7 books, I believe, right now. The first 3 are a trilogy, and then the next 4 go together, and then there's going to be another era coming. So I read the first one in the first trilogy, and this is the one that I did as an audio and the physical book. And I was intimidated by this book for the longest time and didn't want to pick it up because it was so long. But after having done the Stormlight Archive books by Brandon Sanderson, this is like a baby book from Brandon Sanderson. It's almost 800 pages, and that's short. Brandon does not have a problem filling out a chonker of a book. But again, I really, really loved this one. It is about sort of 2 main characters. So the main character mostly is the teenage girl, and Vin has been sort of part of this thieving group forever. Her older brother had gotten her into it and then ends up abandoning her. And she gets discovered by somebody, the other main character, for using magic. She's not realizing that she's doing it, but she is. And he recognizes what she's doing and then decides to take her sort of under his wing. And they basically go on a quest to overthrow the kingdom. But there's a great sort of like found family. The magic system is interesting. It's got, you know, that sort, if you love like um, the main character from the Throne of Glass series, like this has a similar feel. Um, you know, that like trained thief girl in the beginning. So yeah, I'm excited to move on to the Well of Ascension, probably in May. So, um, the next book that I finished was my other ebook for the month, and it was also my nonfiction and another holdover from February. So I started this one in February and just continued reading it in March. Um, and it was Feeding the Soul by Tabitha Brown. Had a moment there where I couldn't remember. And this one is it's got like vegan recipes in it. It's got like life lessons in it. And it just talks a lot about living your life authentically in a healthy way, not like you need to force yourself to exercise, you need to diet, you need to whatever, but like move your body, eat what's right for your body, like just take care of yourself because your physical health and your mental health are tied together. Um, but really all of that stems back as well to like authenticity. If you're not doing what's right for your body, if you're not doing what's right for your soul, if you're not showing the world what's really you, like you're not going to progress in the way that like your life should. It did have a religious aspect to it that I hadn't really I never go looking for religion. I'm not a organized religion person. But I do believe in like spiritual things, and I do very much believe that you should try to be the best person you can be. Be nice to other people, do what you can to help other people, just be good, I guess. And so there were moments with this book where like the discussions about living your life the way God intends and like listening to God's messages to you was a little more than I process. It doesn't match sort of how I feel about life, but I think that could be very helpful for some people. And it was just sort of something that I like tried to take the message of, you know, again, be kind, be just, be good, be truthful, you know, those things. But I really did like the message about sort of like introspection and really stopping to think about like, what are the things that are holding you back? Is holding hate or grief or like those heavier emotions inside of you keeping you from blossoming? Are you stuck in the routine because you're afraid to step out of it and try something new? Should you be pushing yourself to do something that was really what you were meant to do? So all of that I really enjoyed. And she just has such a fun, warm, conversational tone. Like I found her on YouTube, and I loved watching her videos, especially during like the pandemic years. It was just a like warm, bright, sunny part of the internet. And her book sounds like that as well. Like I said, it delved a little more into like straight up Christian religion than I wanted. But outside of that, I really enjoyed the rest of it. So I don't rate my nonfiction reads because you're picking up different things. They're written different ways. You're learning rather than just enjoying a story. And then the last book that I read in the month of March was Where the Library Hides by Isabel Ibanez. And this is the sequel to What the River Knows. It is the second book in the duology, finishes it out. And I know there have been very mixed feelings about this book. So I went into it kind of hesitantly because I really loved the first book and I didn't want to I didn't want to hate this one. And I was like, if I do, I'm just going to keep the first one and I'll just read that as sort of like its own. Because it's got such a similar vibe to the movie The Mummy, but for a YA audience. So it's teenagers, it's ancient Egypt, and it's like a adventure romance. For me personally, I really also loved this book. Like I said, I was nervous and I kind of went into it with low expectations. And I could see some of what would bring the criticism. The main male character, and I am totally blanking on, Whit. Yeah, I'm blanking on his name, but Whit, um, in the first book, is very much Brendan Fraser in The Mummy. Like that personality shines right through. In this one, he makes some bad choices, and I don't want to say his personality changes because I don't think it does. I think just there are outside factors that influence how he treats our main character in the beginning of the book. But what I really liked too was that this is the type of YA where they delve into, why the hell are you being an asshole to me? How could you lie like that? And then on the other side, she makes some bad choices too, and he calls her out on those. And so together they work through that. And then she has time to sort of examine her feelings and figure out, okay, what am I going to do now? I'm in this situation. I don't feel good about it. Can I get to a place where I feel good about it? He also has a, epiphany kind of moment. And then they circle back to, the love story. And I really liked it. So I might be in the minority there, but I really love this duology altogether. So I'll be keeping both of them. And this was another 5-star read for me. So like I said, even though I only finished 6 books in the month of March, I had 4 5-star reads, 1 3-star, and then 1 that I didn't rate because it was nonfiction. So my overall rating for the month was great. And I was happy with what I finished. And when the month rolled over again, I was in the middle of a couple of books. So those I finished or will be finishing in April. And yeah, so it was a short wrap up because I was going to say it was a short month, but it wasn't. It was just a mentally short month for me. There was a lot going on else outside. But yeah, I would be very curious to know if you read Where the Library Hides, if you loved it or hated it. I just would be curious to know. But like I said, I really enjoyed the duology overall. So that's just my own opinion. But yeah, thank you for joining me on my wrap up. And please don't forget to comment, subscribe so that you catch my next videos. I am trying to be more post more frequently and more reliably now that I'm back into my new job and I can sort of schedule filming and editing, etc. So hopefully you'll be seeing more of me soon. All right. I wish you the happiest of reading in the month of April. Bye.